I'm Ramsis, and we're here for another edition of Ramsis Retro Longplays. That's right, and this is the one I think we've all been waiting for. As I mentioned, if you've seen my previous Civilization playthroughs, we are going to be doing Civilization 2, and what do we have here? Yes, Sid Meier's Civilization 2. Yes, the long-awaited game I think everyone's been waiting to see here after we got through the first one. This is the one I think that most people love, enjoy, got into the Civilization series. This is the one that meant a lot to me. When this game came out, I was hooked, and I must have played this and all the other Civilization 2 versions for so many years after this. But which version are we going to play? Well, let's give a little detail first before I mention this. Alright, so Civilization 2, Sid Meier's Civilization 2, came out in, and this is going to be hard to believe, I know it's been that long already, March 1996. That's right, that is when all the magic happened. It was originally released on the Windows and DOS system. It was actually a DOS version of this game. A lot of people don't remember that. And then, of course, it was made more popularized when it was on Windows 95/98. But this was originally a 3.1 Windows game, and you played it on DOS. And it played exactly the same. It was just you had to go through the DOS shell. So which version are we playing? We are playing the Windows version. That's right, regular Windows version. The OG, a regular Civilization 2, and you might be like, Ramses, how's that possible? You had all the video footage, you have all the music. Do you know how hard it is to get it to work on a modern computer? Yes, I do know how hard it is to get it to work on a modern computer, so that's why we're using a Windows XP computer. That's right. If you want to get this game working right, there's many ways to do it, but using an old Windows XP computer is probably the best way to get this game working, because Windows XP was backwards compatible with all these Windows 98, 95 games. Sadly, Microsoft isn't like that anymore. Like, oh no, we don't care about the past, we're only looking at the future. But Windows XP did care, because that was that weird operating system that was a bridge moving from the old school operating systems to the newer one. XP started that whole trend of what the operating systems were going to become. So if you want to play Civilization 2, the OG version, I'm not talking about Gold, I'm not talking about PS1, I'm not talking about Test of Time, I'm talking about the original OG, not the DOS version, but the original OG Windows version of Civilization 2. It's called Vanilla in the fandom. Get yourself a Windows XP computer or another method to play. I can't tell you how to do that, but if you can get an XP computer somehow or some way to play XP games, boy, have you got the way to play Civilization 2. Now, believe it or not, if you want all the music, you gotta have the game CD in your CD-ROM/DVD drive in your computer. Yes, if you want the computer to recognize the disc and play the music while you're playing the game, you have to actually have it in the drive. And again, the DOS version is different, but I didn't want to play the DOS version because it's slow, it's laggy, it's not as good, the music is lost a lot. It's definitely not a very good version of Civilization 2. It'll work if you want to do DOSBox, but if you really want to experience Civilization 2, the OG version, yourself a method to play it on XP, and boy, have I got the game for you. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you the original version that I grew up with, and I believe it was on a Windows, I want to say 95 computer that I first played this, because this came out in 96, and 98 wasn't around yet. So yes, I originally played this on a Windows 95 computer. Hard to believe, but very true. Alright, so with that all out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the game. So this is Civilization 2, the amazing follow-up to the first one. And we already played a few of the versions of the first Civilization. We did a Super Nintendo version, and we did the Amiga version. The Amiga version is the one I grew up with, that's why I chose that. But they're all just as good. You play any version of Civilization 1, it'll play the same, no matter which version, just a few graphical differences. Now, this is the version of Civilization 2 I grew up with, as I just mentioned. The one that was on the regular Windows, not DOS, the regular Windows version. And you might think, oh, well, Sid Meier just went back to the well and wanted to do it again. No, Sid Meier really did not want to do a sequel to this game. It's an interesting story, and one day you guys should look it up. We don't have time to go into all that. But Sid Meier's like, oh, no one's going to want a sequel to it. You know, what else can we do with it? And pretty much 3 people, and that's Jeff Bridges, who produced the game, Brian Reynolds, who designed it, and Douglas Kaufman, they all said, no, we got this. There's some love for this series. We can do more. We can make this. So Sid Meier's like, all right, but as long as you add more to it, I don't want just a rehash of the same game with better graphics. You got to add like 20% more. And that's become a Civilization standard, by the way. You might all wonder, why is every Civilization so different as we go from 1 all the way 7 and then beyond as the future goes? It's because Sid Meier had this rule that if you're going to make a sequel to Civilization, you better add more to it to give a reason to come back to this game. We don't want just better graphics. We want something different. And I sort of agree, but I don't agree. You know, that's going to be a debate as we go through some of the retro Civilizations. Because we're only going to do retro-based ones. We're not going to do the new ones. But as we look back at this, we'll see, yeah, some of the changes are good, and some, well, you're moving a little too far away from the series now. So yeah, change is good sometimes, but also don't keep breaking what works. You know, if it ain't broke, don't keep fixing it. And that's what Civilization's become, unfortunately, where, oh, we gotta keep adding more. Well, Civilization 2 realized we're gonna bring back what people liked, but we will add what people wanted. And that's what Civilization 2 became. So Sid Meier put his name on it, and pretty much Brian Reynolds and Jeff Bridges had at it, and they went after this whole thing. How do we make this better? Well, how do you make it better? Well, you use the new technology that is out now in 1996, and it's called CD-based media. That's right. You can now have videos, you can have music, you can now have animations. Yes, you can do all these things you couldn't do in the simplistic game. So you're going to have the music playing in the background. It's going to be cool music specifically made for this game. Very epic, very, you know, fitting to the situation as you're building up your civilization. So that's going to be great. They're going to have heralds now, where you have animated figures of who you're talking instead of just a picture there. You'll have a representative person along with the picture in back of them, but you're not actually talking to the leader, you're just talking to a representative of them. So they didn't change that yet. Later Civilization will have you're actually talking to the leader themselves. And you'll have great music happening, you have great sound effects, a lot of waves used in this game. And the best of all is we have animated advisors using full motion video recordings of 5 actors who took on the roles of your advisors. And every time you click on consult your council, you'll get these 5 actors giving you advice and telling you the state of your civilization. And we'll get to that as we go on. So there was a lot of great stuff. And of course, when you get World Wonders, you get full animated movies explaining exactly what you just did. It shows you exactly what it is. Again, full motion video. They took full advantage of it, and that's why Civilization 2 is so memorable. And what's more memorable is the scenarios. Yes, Civilization 2 loaded the game with scenarios where you two can now build your dream situation and have it act out. You can build the scenario using the cheat mode, which Sid Meier was really, really against. He hated the idea of a cheat mode. He was not happy that that was in, but it was the only way at that time that you can build a scenario is by cheating and then doing exactly what you want and setting up the map exactly how you want and then saving it as a scenario. So that's why the cheat mode is there, but Sid did not like it. But it turned out Sid was wrong, because Sid admitted, wow, the scenarios were the best thing to ever happen to the series, and I'm so sorry I didn't believe in you guys. It was the lifesaver of Civilization, because it kept Civilization 2 going for years and years and years because the scenario options was put into it, and you needed the cheat to do that. So yeah, he admitted he made a mistake, because Civilization 2 lasted a long time. It came out in 96, but this game went on forever. And as I mentioned, there was other versions, and we might look at some of the others. Now, if you don't want to play this version, but you still want to get the feel of Civilization 2, there's something called the Gold Edition. It's called the Multiplayer Gold Edition, and that does work on modern Windows. You gotta look up how to do it. There's a few tweaks you have to do, but you can get a fully running and operating Civilization 2 Multiplayer Gold Edition to work on regular Windows. Even with the music and everything, you'll still need the disc, but it will work. You just have to add a few patches and change a few things, and it will work fine. So you can do that. I wanted to play the version I grew up with, that's why I'm not playing the multiplayer, but I got it working. Yeah, I got the multiplayer gold working, no problem. I wanted to play the original version, so I had to whip out a Windows XP somewhere, but hey, you can get that version working. And that was when they decided we're going to make this multiplayer now, and that was a very big addition too. Me and Vesper used to play that all the time together, the multiplayer gold edition, and boy, the stories that me and Vesper could have playing that game, it was a great experience. And then we moved on to Civilization 2 Test of Time, which was when Hasbro bought Microprose and Sid Meier and his team left for Firaxis and their own company after that, they moved away from Microprose, but Microprose still had the rights to Civilization 2. So what did they do? Sid Meier's company released Alpha Centauri at the time, so Microprose, which is now owned by Hasbro, still had the rights to Civilization 2. They wanted to release their own game to compete with it, so they called it Test of Time, which was a revamped version of this game. New graphics, new look, new AI, new scenarios, new gameplay methods. It's still Civilization 2, but they just added so much more to it to make it feel like a new game. And we might look at that one too, because me and Vesper had a lot of time playing that in multiplayer mode forever. Oh, that was a great experience too. And then, of course, it was released on the PlayStation 1, so there was a Civilization 2 on PlayStation 1, and that was a lot of people's experiences. I never played it because I had it on so many different editions. I had, Test of Time, Gold, and the OG. I didn't feel like I needed to play it on the PlayStation 1, but a lot of people's experience was playing this game on PlayStation 1, and I have looked at it. I didn't own it, but I have looked at it before, and believe it or not, it really is the same experience. It's just different because you're playing it on a console system, but it has all the same stuff. It has the music, it has the effects, it has the feel of Civilization 2. It really is like the same game, just changed for a PS1 system. I think it's very impressive. So that's all the versions of Civilization 2. We're just going to look at the OG version. Alright, so there's so much I can say about this game, but this is going to be a very long play, so we're going to have plenty to say here, I assure you. Just tune in, check it out, get comfy. This is going to be a long one. We're going to take our time, have fun with this. This is not going to be a Ramsis beats Civilization 2 in 2-hour playthrough. This is going to be a very long, let's have fun playing Sid Meier's Civilization 2, the OG vanilla version. And I'm going to stress that there's so many versions. OG, regular, vanilla version. That is the one we were playing, the one I grew up with, and not the DOS. It is the Windows 95 edition, the first version that I played growing up, and I can't wait to get back into this. Alright, so I think that's all the history we need here. Please watch my Civilization 1 videos if you need to learn more about the series. I did a little bit there about the history of Civilization. History of Civilization 2 is pretty much just Sid Meier didn't want to do it, they did it, and it turned into a great, successful series that's still going to this day. So there you go. Alright, so before we click anything here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you like what you see, have something to say, and hopefully you guys do. It's been a blast with my other Civilization series, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this one just as much. The original Civilization 2, it's been a long time coming. I've been waiting to do this, but I couldn't do it until I did the originals, and now that those are done here on Ramsis Retro Longplays, we're going to be giving it. So don't forget to check out the playlist, because these are all going to be in a playlist, so if you miss an episode, just make sure playlist. We're going to post an episode a day, but it won't be in a row. You know how we do it here. It's going to be mixed up, but again, subscribe, check us out, bookmark us. Even if you don't subscribe, just keep an eye out for the next video. We'll be playing a full playthrough here from start to finish, Civilization 2. You don't want to miss it. And please be sure to check out our main channel, Vesper's Retro Reviews, where retro is alive and well and not going anywhere anytime soon. We hope we see you there. 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. We honor all things retro, and we wouldn't be here on Ramsis Retro Longplays if it wasn't for Vesper's Retro Reviews. That is where it all started. Check us out there as well. You won't be sorry you did. If you like games like this, boy, will you like Vesper's Retro Reviews. Okay. So now before we get into the game, let's show you a little bit of the options here. You can start a new game, and that's pretty much just a generic, randomly created map. Everything is in the middle. They don't change anything. It's just, I want to play Civilization, have right at it. Give me a random generated map. I'm not tweaking anything. And that's fine. I've played that mode many times, and it's fun. It's just as good as anything else. There's nothing wrong with it. Start on pre-made world is interesting because, like, you're like, oh, where's the Earth mode? Well, that's where Earth is now. It's like, if you want to play on an Earth map, well, you got to go to pre-made world. So you click on pre-made world, and you have all these maps. Look, this is all the maps that came with the OG version. Like I said, the multiplayer Gold Edition has many, many, many more maps available because of all the scenarios. This is all you got when you originally loaded Civilization 2 on your Windows 95 computers. This is what you got. You got a Europe map, a Greece map, a Mediterranean, Pacific, a standard-sized world map, a medium-sized world map, and a small-sized world map. So this is what you got to play with. And I did the world medium a lot. World big is a gigantic map and takes forever to get through. I did the world M a lot. That was my favorite to play in. But all these are good. It's just, remember, if you play like on Europe, Greece, Mediterranean, the map is locked. It's like you can actually reach the end of the world where you can't go any far. You want to play on a circular map if you want to play on Civilization. But everything's fine. Like I said, the game's fun no matter what it is. But yeah, that's how you get to world maps if you want to play on an Earth map here. Customized world is probably what we're going to do, and I'll show you that in a bit. Begin scenario. So again, the Gold Edition had plenty of scenarios. And where are all the scenarios from? Well, remember in the old days, how did they do expansion packs? Well, you had to buy a whole new disc and you had to load it, and all the expansion pack was usually like an upgrade to the game. It wasn't like a whole new game, it was just additions. So for Civilization 2, they had 2 expansions. That's right. And they had what's called Conflicts in Civilization, which was 20 scenarios. 12 of them was created by Micropose themselves, and 8 was just the fan-made ones that were all uploaded all over the place. There was sites, even in the late 90s. I know it's hard to think back that far, but even in the late 90s, there was plenty of websites based on Civilization 2. You would load up your America Online, and then you would go to Civilization 2, and boy, you can find all these scenarios. So they picked 8 of the fan favorites of those that were found on sites, and they added that to this Conflict of Civilization expansion, and that's all it was, by the way. All this Conflict in Civilization expansion was just 20 scenarios, and that sucks, but yeah, that's what expansions were back then. You didn't get like a whole game. You paid another $30 just to add 20 scenarios, and 8 of them you could have gotten for free. Yeah, I know it sounds like they're ripping you off, but that's what it was back then. You have to remember that. I mean, there was some little other tweaks made to it, macro language and scripting and network edition, things like that, but it really was not a very good expansion. But the next expansion they did was called Fantastic Worlds, and that's the one that I think more people enjoyed, because that's pretty much what Test of Time is basing a lot of their stuff off of. Remember I mentioned that Test of Time was Hasbro's version of Civilization 2 after Microprose saw Sid Meier and his creators leave the team. Well, they took these Fantastic World maps, which was all the stuff that you pretty much would want to do in Civilization 2, but were afraid to try. Well, it added all these interesting scenarios. You can do Mars, you can do Midgard, you can do dragons, dinosaurs, you can do all sorts of World War scenarios. And the most interesting was XCOM. Yes, because Microprose owned something called XCOM, and they actually made a map based off their XCOM franchise that was included in Fantastic Worlds. And it also just changed a few other tweaks of the game. But yeah, that's what expansion packs were back then. So they had the Conflicts in Civilization and Fantastic World expansions, and that's really it until you got Test of Time, which was pretty much just a remake of the whole entire game. And that's why scenarios became such a big part of Civilization, because even the expansion packs were just adding scenarios to this game. That's all it was. They did not really do anything. It was Test of Time that really changed the game around. It was scenario packs were just Fantastic World and Conflict Civilization. So very interesting there. And then you can load a save game, which you're going to do. You're not going to be able to finish Civilization 2 in one setting. It's almost impossible to do unless you have a one city challenge and you just custom the map. Yes, you can beat it, but regular Civilization 2, enjoy it. Don't just beat it in one time. Have fun with it. Hall of Fame is when you beat the game, you get a ranking, you can look there, and credits is who made the game. And that's everything we got here. So what are we going to do for this one? We're going to do a customized world. That's right, we're going to build our own world, because that's what I always like to do. Like I said, I did the Earth map a lot. I've done Start a New Game, but customized world is what I like to do, because you want it to feel like you're doing something. Now, are these customizations really anything? No, you're not really changing anything that big a deal in the game. But who doesn't want to feel like, oh, I get control of something? That's why they added this customized world. You're really not doing much. I'll show you what it is here as we get into what we're going to do in the Civilization game. Here we go. So customized world is what the mode we're going to play for this version of Civilization 2. Alright, so the first option to get is you have to choose how big do you want this world. Now, the size of the world matters in how long the game is. The bigger the world, the more spread out these civilizations, the more far apart they're going to be, and the longer it's going to take for you to conquer them, find them, and to deal with them. So, size does matter, and I know we're quoting Gino here, but size does matter. And small map is a quick game, normal is regular, and long will be like it's a giant. I'm going to play a normal because I think that'll be long enough for what we have to do here. I don't think we need to do 70 episodes here in a long game. I think a normal size map will more than fit the needs of what we need to do here. But I've played everything. I've played the small, normal, large. There's no difference. Large is great when you just want to have fun. You're going to devote a very long game to Civilization and just have at it. So there's nothing wrong with the large game. It's just, I don't think we need that for this. This is going to be a little more tutorial in nature. There's going to be a little more let's have fun, a little more let's play long play. You know, it's going to be just a fun, enjoy the game. So we're just going to do a normal, regular size map. Alright, landmass is similar too. Like, how concentrated do you want the landmasses to be? So, again, I'm just going to do normal. It does not really make a difference how exaggerated out it is or not. It's just like, what type of game do you want? It doesn't really make it, like I said, these tweaks aren't really changing the game that much. It just make you feel like you have some options. So I usually play normal or large. Small is fine. You can have little things all over the place, but Normal, I find, is fine. It's the best of both worlds. It's not too crazy. It's not too condensed. It's enough to make it work. So normal is fine, but I've done normal and large, and like I said, the game's the same no matter which version you do. The customization's kind of funny in that you're not really changing much. You're just tweaking like minor attributes of the game. That's all you get to do. All right, now this is important too, but I find that this doesn't really. I don't know how to explain this. Like, you could pick an archipelago, which is all connected. You could pick varied, where it's kind of like an Earth map. And you can pick continents, where it's just gigantic land masses everywhere. I find that it doesn't really make a difference if you pick continents or varied. It just seems like no matter what, you can wind up on a small landmass or you can wind up on a huge continent. It doesn't really mix it up that much. So I'll do continents only because I think I want larger land masses, but I don't think it really changes the game that much. I mean, varied is just the best of both worlds. I think continents is the way to go. It just makes it, that's kind of what Earth is. We're all continents with some islands mixed in all over the place and archipelagos. But I think continents is the way to go. That's just my decision. Doesn't mean anything or not. It's just what I usually choose. And again, climate. Oh, we get to choose the climate. Well, yes, you can have arid, normal, or wet. And this all just means how many deserts do you want and how many jungles do you want. It's like the more wet, you're going to get the more jungles, and the more arid is the more deserts you get. Normal is just a lot of grassland. And I've played in all versions, but I think normal is fine because you get every single type of climate. You get deserts, you get the ice packs, you get the jungle, so why not just play on normal? I mean, we don't need to play in a jungle environment. We don't need to play in a desert environment. We're just going to play in a normal Earth-like environment. But again, they give you the option to tweak it. That's why customization's fun. If you just want to play a whole desert world, do Arid. What can I tell you? All right, again, this is going to be the same idea. Cool, temperate, warm. So how much of the planet is filled with this? It's hard to get the concept. Like, oh, but didn't we just choose yes? But now it's like a cool planet means you're going to have more ice instead of less ice. You're still going to have the ice, but how much? A temperate means you're going to have, again, an Earth-like planet where the North and South Pole have the ice and the rest of the planet heats up as you get to the center. And a warm planet means you're going to have less ice, less, of the spread out land, and the deserts can form more. So it's pretty much just what type of climate do you want to take up the majority of your world, and that'll be the type of terrains you get. I'm going to do temperate. It just gives you a nice mixture of everything. We're not playing a hard version here. We're just playing regular, so temperate's fine. All right, and again, they tell how much hills and mountains do you want. That's what the age of it means. So you have to remember the Earth, I think, is between... Well, it's 4 to 5 billion years old, and I might be totally wrong with that. I'm pretty sure the Earth is more than 4 billion years old. And again, this is how rugged do you want the planet to look. So the older the planet is, the more smoothed out it'll be, because that says, erosion and weather has smoothed things out a little bit. The older it is the more rugged it'll be. So I guess you'll have mountains and hills. If you do 3 billion, 4 billion, it will be sort of like what we have now with North America having 2 mountain ranges, but the rest is kind of smooth. It's going to be not as mountainous, and then 5 billion, things will be even more leveled out and smoothed out. So it's pretty much how much rough terrain you want. And again, 4 billion is fine. It's in the middle. It's fine by me. And now this is a very important decision that you have to make. The difficulty. How hard do you want your game? And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This game can get very hard, but Deity is beatable. It is. I mean, I never beat Deity, and I played this game for 20 years, and that's only because of the way I play. I'm not looking to exploit everything and quickly do this, and you gotta do this. I'm just looking to have fun, and I'll never beat Deity with that style. If you're going to beat Deity, you gotta really know how to play the system and how to think like the computer and estimate what they're going to do and know the patterns. I'm not going to be that. I'm sorry. I'm very good at this game, but I'm not going to be that much of a mastermind at it. So I usually played King and Emperor I would lose sometimes, but I would still win on Emperor. King is the level I usually played. But I haven't played this game in a very long time, and I want this to be a little more tutorial and fun in nature. So we're going to dumb it down a little bit and go Warlord, because I want to show you the features of this game. You can't show the features of this game if you're playing a harder difficulty, because the enemy is going to get all the stuff and do everything, and then you can't really have fun with it. This is not just a let's win this game, this is a let's show you all what this game has to offer, and that's why I'm going to do Warlord. Chieftain's too easy. That's a joke of a game. Warlord, at least, for someone who hasn't played in a while, that will give you a little bit of a challenge. You'll be a little ahead of the computer, but it'll still be an opponent worthy of taking on. Because you saw my Warlord playthrough of Civilization on Amiga, that was still a very fun experience. Even though we were ahead of him at the end, that's pretty much what's going to happen here too. It's going to be equaled out, and then by the end we'll be whipping them. And that's fine. That's what I want Prince is probably what we'll do next time if we do another Civilization 2, which we're probably going to. We'll do the Prince level, and again, just so I can show you a fun playthrough. I'm not here to show you how to beat it on daily in an hour. I'm here to let's have fun with Civilization 2, and let's relive some memories and feels and experience this game all over again. So we're going to do Warlord, and I can do a lot better than that, but I just want to have fun with the game because I haven't played in a while, and I want to enjoy this with you. That's my reasoning. Take it or leave it. That's the reasoning. So Warlord it is, and I think it'll be a lot of fun doing that. Now, being that I'm playing on an easier level, we're going to have to make it a little harder, because if I do 3 civilizations, that's not going to be much competition. 7 civilization is the way to go. I am going to do a full map of 7 civilizations. It'll be all 6 opponents against us, and I think that will level things out a little bit because I'm playing this on Warlord. I think that's going to make it a little more fun, that we get to experience a full rivalry against everybody. Maybe we'll make some friends, but we'll probably have a lot of enemies. You know, that's how I play. I'm like every man for themselves, or every man and woman, if it's female opponents, for themselves, and that's it. So yeah, we are going to do 7, and that will be how I equalize that I'm playing on Warlord here. So I can really show you how to take over the world against 7 tough opponents. I mean, 6 tough opponents. Yeah, this is going to be great. So 7. Now, there's another thing you get to choose. A lot of people did not like the barbarian usage in the original Civilization. I think I'm one of them, but at the same time, I find I like to deal with them. Like, they're annoying, and they keep showing up, and they're just spamming, but it's fun. Like, that's what you want. Your city should not just be, like, sitting there collecting duds. You gotta have defense in it. You gotta deal with it. You get a reward if you beat them. I think it's fine. But they give you the option. Now, I would usually pick Raging Hordes, because that was a way to get bonus points on your score. The harder the barbarians, the more points you get at the end. And of course, don't forget, all games in the 90s and 80s are about score. So yes, this game was no different. There is a score in this game. The better you do at the end, the higher your score in ranking. So if you picked Raging Hordes, they would come non-stop in huge, huge waves of barbarians all throughout the game. It never stops. But it's annoying, right? And I want to have fun. But I don't want no barbarians, because that's not fun either. So we're going to go with the default, which is Restless Tribes. And you don't lose any points by doing that. Like, if you do Villages only, you lose points. Roving Hordes, you lose points. Restless Tribes is the default setting, and that'll be they keep showing up, but it won't be overwhelming, and that's what we're going to do. But you don't lose any points, but you don't gain any points. So it's the default. Yep, this is how you're supposed to play if you want just a regular barbarian level. So we'll do Restless Tribes. Now, I am going to customize the rules. That's another fun thing that you can do in this game, is tweak the rules a little bit. And I am going to customize them, because I like to turn off one thing that by default is not turned off. So, simplified comment, no, we are not turning that off, because I think that's the fun of Civilization 2. In Civilization 2, they changed it from just one attack and you win or lose to there are health bars now, so you get more than one turn on a unit. And I think that's a great addition, and that's become a mainstay for Civilization, by the way. The health bars of all the units that you have in this game. And even cities eventually would get health bars in later civilizations. So, yeah, it's a great idea, and to turn it to simplified combat, I don't think that's what we're going to do. Flat World's what I mentioned before, where you do the Greek map, and you're only able to stay there. You can't leave that region, and you're locked into a box. So if you do Flat World, there's no round world. You can't go around. You're stuck, and you have borders. And I don't want to play that. I want to do a world map. Select computer opponents. I used to do that, but then when you find out that it's not really that big a deal, and again, I mentioned this in Civilization 1, and a lot of people probably don't agree with me, but they don't really have personalities. They claim that the civilizations in Civilization 1 and 2 have personalities, but they really don't. It's a generic color with a picture there and a herald, and you know, everyone's gonna go to war with you no matter what. India goes to war with you just as much as the Carthaginians do. It does not matter. They all go to war with you. They all hate you by the time you get to the end of the game. It does not matter. It's all just a color and who you want to feel like you're playing against. And again, disagree with me. I know there are some things that do make certain civilizations do more aggressive or more expansion than others. That's fine. It's not enough to say, wow, look at how different these civilizations are. Yes, there are minor differences where some will expand more, some are more likely to go to war. Those are like the only differences. Besides, I mean, there's a few minor things. It's not enough where I'm going to select my opponents, because it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So I'm not going to. Accelerate Startup is, you just want to quickly get into it. Oh, I'm tired of doing the whole, let's build a city, let's get the technology, let's build everything up. Just give me all that stuff to start off with. So they'll give you an advanced start where you don't have to go through the tediousness of what Civilization is. But I find, if you're going to play Civilization, you do it right. You start from the beginning as one city and work your way up to an empire. So yes, you have to do it properly. And Bloodlust is where you don't want spaceships, and this is going to come into play where you're playing on the harder difficulties, and the computer's so far ahead of you, all they have to do is build a spaceship, and they can win the game, and it sucks, and it's like, oh, if only I had a chance to beat them, but no, the computer is so far ahead in technology, they can just build a spaceship and beat you. Well, this turns that off. They have no choice. You have to fight to the end. They cannot just build a spaceship to beat you. So that's, I think, used on harder levels, or it's just used if you don't want the computer at all having that option. You just want it's every man for themselves, every man and woman for themselves, and they have to beat everyone up. Now, this is the option we are going to change, because I never liked this in Civilization 1. I don't think it's right that you work so hard to beat a civilization. You fight so hard to find them and beat them and tweak them and do everything, and then all of a sudden, somewhere randomly on a map, someone else using that same color just reforms in the middle of nowhere, and now you got to find them. I always hated that aspect, and I think they realized that, so they give you the option to turn it off. And yes, I always turned it off. I always said, don't restart eliminated play. I want to go against 6. That's what I want to go against. I don't need you repopping Japan in the middle of nowhere just because I beat up on the competition that was also colored green. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, I beat Babylon after a very long, hard-fought battle, and now Japan's going to reform somewhere randomly that I haven't found yet. It's like, no, we're not doing that. That's the only thing I ever turn off. Yeah. So I had to do custom features just to turn off that. But I have such a fun gameplay without them coming back. I mean, a lot of you guys might think, oh, that's not Civilization. Well, I think it's not Civilization to just randomly have someone reform just because the color's available. That's just extending a game that doesn't need to be extended. The game's long enough as it is, I assure you. So that's my decisions. And let me know which custom features you tweaked, if any. Oh, I like to play in a flat world. Or, oh, I always picked them. Or I never won spaceships. Let me know what you guys picked. That's the one I always picked, was just don't restart eliminated players. Now comes the fun part here, where we get to choose what civilization we're going to do. And new to this game, you got to choose if you're going to be a male leader or a female leader, which I think is great, because I picked female leaders too. Sure, I had fun. It was male, female. It was like you wanted to pretend you really were whoever you were of this civilization, and you wanted to see what females were leading these countries, because every single civilization now has a male and a female. Like, even United States, which hasn't had a female president yet, had a female leader, and I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt they put in as the female leader of this game. So even they didn't have a president or prime minister who was a female, they found a way to get a female leader for each civilization in this game, which I thought was kind of cool. But we are going to play as me, so I am Ramses. I am going to play as a male, and the thing to note is they gave you the option, and this is the first time you actually got to choose male or female. I think that is a cool thing. So I'm going to play as male. And then, again, these are all the civilizations of the game. Now, you see Roman, Russian, Celts on the first. This is the color. So, as I mentioned, every civilization has a color, and there's 3 civilizations that share a color. That's why they have 18 now. I think it's 18, right? Let's see. 3, 6, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18. It's 21, sorry. So that's why they have 21 civilizations now in the game, because 3 of them will share a color, and you can only get 1 using a certain color, and that's how they get the 7. So it's 7, 14, 21. That's 3 different civilizations of 7 using a single color. So Romans, Russians, Celts would all use white. Babylonians, Zulus, Japanese would be green. Germans, French, Vikings are all the darkish blue. Egyptians, Aztec, Spanish, they all used yellow. Americans, Chinese, Persians use the light blue. Greeks, English, Carthaginians use the pink, and India, Mongols, and the Sioux Native Americans, they use purple. So that's how they did it now, where you can have all these civilizations, but you'll only get 1 out of each of these for the color. So you can only have 7 of the colors, and that's how they split it up. So it really does not matter who we pick, but again, I'm American, so I'll go America again. I mean, why not? I'm going to use my own name anyway. It doesn't matter who I use. But we'll just do America again, so, because that's me. I'm Ramses from America. We'll use America. But, again, any civilization is fun. I've used all of them. I've used every single one of these civilizations, and it's fun, and it's just a color to me, but it's still fun to feel like, oh, now I'm the Aztecs, or oh, now I'm the Spanish. It's cool. So what do? We customize. We're not Abe Lincoln, even though it's a great guy to be. I'm going to be Ramses. That's right. And we'll keep everything else the same. I'm American, America. Yes, that's fun. Alright, so now another thing you get to do in this game, because remember, this is now on a CD, they have more options, they have more space. So now instead of just looking like a square on the screen, your cities are going to look like a representation of a whole metropolis, I guess is the way we can say it. So you get all the choices here. You can do the Bronze Age, which was sort of that South American look. You can do the Classical, which would be the Roman. the Far East Pavilion, which would be like the Southeast Asia look, and you could do the medieval, which would be like the European look. So I always picked the medieval because I thought that was the most like 1700s looking. Like America started in 1700s, well earlier than that, but we became a nation in 1776. So I feel like that was sort of the American look if we're going by old school. They always put it on classical for America, but I think that's more Roman and Greek old school. I think we have to go sort of like that medieval castle look. So there you go. That's the one I picked, and that's it. So now we start our game. And since this episode's running late, we're going to start next time. This is just the intro to everything, pretty much. You can consider that. But let's see what message we get. We get, Ramses, you have risen to become leader of the Americans. May your reign be long and prosperous. The Americans have knowledge of irrigation, mining, alphabet, bronze working, ceremonial burial, and roads. Now, because we picked an easier difficulty, we get to start with a lot more. Or I think it might be on any difficulty. Like I said, it's been a long time. But this one is a little different. Like Civilization is sort of random if you got it. Civilization 2, you usually got some other things to start off with besides just irrigation, mining, and road work. This time we got some good ones. Bronze working, which is phalanx, that's a great one to start with. Alphabet, that leads to everything, that's a great one to start with. And ceremonial burial is temple. So these are actually very good starting Civilization unlocks to have, and I'm very happy with that. Let's push OK and see what we got ourselves into. Here we go. And there we are. Okay. And we also start with 2 settlers, which I think is due to us playing on an easier level, or that could be random too. You guys can let me know if it's a different situation. But we get 2 settlers. We get a lot of advances to start with, and I'm very happy with that. And we have the music in the background, which, like I told you, if you play with the disc in on the regular XP version of this, you will get the background music, and that's how you unlock that, because that was important to me. I was like, even though you're not going to hear it because I'm going to be yammering the whole time, I still think it's cool to get the original feel of the game. You had music playing in the background while you were thinking, while you were going to war, while you're deciding. I think that's the version I wanted to play with. I wasn't going to play this without the videos and music. I said that. I said, guys, I will not play this unless I had that music and those videos working. And, alright, I had to whip out an XP, but I got it working for you guys. Alright. So next time I will show you Civilization 2. That was all the intro. Thank you for sitting through all that. I know it was a lot of information to take through, but that's how Civilization starts. It is a long, long process to decide what I want to do, how I want to set everything up, what maps do I want to do, what civilization do I want to be. Now I'm going to zoom us in a little bit. You see these arrows in the top left there? Now if you click on, see how it's zooming in? You click on the left arrow, you zoom in, so you can make the map a little larger, and you click on the right one, and you zoom out a little bit. So I like it sort of there. I like it where you can see. I don't like it so zoomed out. I like it a little bit, but you don't want it so zoomed in because then you can't see anything. But so that's how we'll play it. All right. Thank you all for joining me. That was the first episode of our long play of Civilization 2, Sid Meier Civilization 2, the OG vanilla version. I want to stress that this is the regular version because there's so many other versions out there. The one found on Windows 95/98, and I want that stressed too because there is a DOS version, and I'm not going to play that one because that one is a little buggy and tricky at times. This one was the perfected one. This is the one I like. And this is the one we're going to play. Alright, next time, join us, because I am finally going to play this game instead of talk about it. Yes, we set everything up. I'm very happy with where everything stands. But next time is where we finally get to play Civilization 2. And I can't wait to show this game. It's going to be a very fun long play. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if you like to see I have something to say. And hopefully you guys do. And don't forget to also check us out on our main channel, Ramsis Retro Reviews, where retro's alive and well and not going anywhere anytime soon. We'll see you all next time, where we finally get to play Civilization 2, the Windows version, as the Americans on a custom-made map. I can't wait to show this to you. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time. Oh boy, I can't wait. See you.